Hey guys, welcome back. It's Joseph. Quick and simple gospel. Yeshua, Jesus, came to this earth, lived a perfect 33 years, was crucified on a cross for our sins, buried in a tomb for 3 days, and rose from the grave on the third day. We are saved through faith in Christ alone and by no other name. Amen. So, good evening, guys. Hope you're all doing well today. Got a new story for you. Trump fires back after Iranian officials chilling Mar-a-Lago sunbathing assassination threat. So we're going to cover this today and a few other stories. Give it a few minutes, wait for a few people to jump in, and then we'll go ahead and get started. Just seeing how we look on the screen here. Looks pretty good. Hey, Patrick. Hey, Jacob. Much love. Hope you guys are doing well. Hey, Bob. How you doing? Guys, do me a favor. When you come in, please hit the like button. Very much appreciated. Helps out the algorithm and helps more people find the video. And also, please hit the share button. That way we can get this out to more people. Alright, guys. Got a lot to talk about. Let's go ahead and get started. Hey, Brian. How you doing? Alright, guys. Here we go. Alright, guys, just give me a second to get all set up. Alright, guys. So this is in the news on July 9th. Trump fires back after Iranian officials chilling Mar-a-Lago sunbathing assassination threat. July 9th. Alright, guys, we're going to break this down all by the numbers using Gematria, which is simply letters as numerals. And once you learn the simple code of coding letters into numbers, you can see right through the scripted coded news every day. Alright, guys, so this is more scripted coded news connected to the soon removal of Donald Trump, something we've been talking about on this channel for a long time. So the first thing I want to point out says here, Trump could be hit by drone while sunbathing, Iranian official reportedly suggests. So this is in the news on July 9th, 7-9, all right? In Gematria, drone equals 79. And Trump is 79 years old, and murder is also 79. All right? So what a perfect day for this to be in the news, right? On 7-9, when drone is 79. Trump's birthday is June 14th. So this is in the news 25 days after his birthday. Trump equals 25. Drone equals 25, and death equals 25. Drone is 29 and 25, like Trump is 29 and 25. Iran could assassinate sunbathing Trump at Mar-a-Lago, Khamenei ally says. Mar-a-Lago equals 68. Drone attack, 68. Sunbathing Trump, 68. Trump assassination, 68. Donald John Trump, 68. And Donald J. Trump, 68. So, also, I have a slide at the end, but for the record, drone attack is 185 and 68, like Donald John Trump, 185, 68. But I want to focus on the 68 here. This is a huge number that we've been talking about for a long time, connected to the Trump assassination, right? So again, Mar-a-Lago, drone attack, sunbathing Trump, Trump assassination, Donald John Trump, and Donald J. Trump, they're all 68, right? Okay. Do you remember this story not too long ago that I covered? Ribvar Karimi, who served as an Iranian army sniper, was arrested in Alabama. And this is around the same time, you know, we have all these threats from Iran. We got this story of the Iranian army sniper. Anyways, I pointed out his name, Ribvar Karimi, 68, right? Like Trump assassination, Donald John Trump. Now, you remember what happened on Trump's birthday, the day of the No Kings protests? We had the Minnesota lawmaker who was killed, right, on Trump's birthday. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. When we get done with the 68s, I'll come back, and I want to show you the key points. Remember, the suspect was Vance Boelter, and Vance would become president if Trump was taken out. But remember, Minnesota lawmaker, 68. On Trump's birthday, 68. The day of the No Kings protest, 68. Remember James Comey with the 86-47 shell formation? Shell formation equals 68. Remember the shooting in Butler? Butler shooting, 68. They blamed it on the head of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle, 68. The Apprentice, 68. Mar-a-Lago, 68. The would-be assassin from Butler, Thomas Crook, 68. Donald J. Trump, 68. But wait, there's more. Here, I'll just go ahead and skip to, you remember this story? Travis Keith Lang was arrested for making threats against Trump. And see, he's 47 years old, like Trump equals 47 and Trump's number 47. But look at his name, Travis Keith Lang, 68. We'll come back to him. But anyways, you remember the connection I made to the movie Taxi Driver? Right? Remember Robert De Niro was outside the Trump hush money trial, and I pointed out back then that Robert De Niro was in the movie Taxi Driver, which allegedly inspired John Hinckley Jr.'s assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan, who ran on Make America Great Again. Anyways, in that movie Taxi Driver, which equals 68, that's the key point here, Taxi Driver equals 68, Robert De Niro's character plans to assassinate Senator Charles Palantine. See how Charles Palantine equals 68? And then, remember, this is the scene where he was going to do it. And here he is. Here's Charles Palantine. And in the crowd, everyone has a plain shirt on except for this one guy with the number 88. And Trump equals 88. This is from Taxi Driver. All right, and I'm going to give you the whole list of 88 shortly. We're going to kind of jump around a little bit. There's so much to talk about. But anyways, back to Senator Palantine. Notice Senator Palantine has the 248, like President Donald Trump, 248, Trump assassination, 248. We're going to talk more about the 248 also. So keep that in mind. We're going to talk more about the 88 and the 248. And for the record, Senator Palantine is also 95, like President Donald Trump, 95, right? Well, there's another movie that Robert De Niro is in called Machete, right? So he's in Taxi Driver and he's in Machete. And it says here, yes, in the movie Machete, Robert De Niro playing Senator McLaughlin does talk about 68 cents during a scene where he is giving a speech and a sniper is involved. Senator McLaughlin is giving a speech about border security and immigration. Doesn't that sound like Donald Trump? Machete, a hired assassin, attempts to shoot the senator who is on a platform, possibly a rooftop. During the speech, McLaughlin says, "Let me tell you what change that'll bring. 68 cents. The jingle jangle of pennies in your pocket because the scavengers, the leeches, the parasites are walking away with your money while you're left with the change." Okay, so another movie with Robert De Niro, right, connected to a political assassination attempt, right, and while the sniper is on the roof, he's talking about 68 cents. There's that 68 again, right? Trump assassination, 68. Donald John Trump, 68. And then look at this for the confirmation. He plays Senator John McLaughlin, which equals 95 and 112, like President Donald Trump is 95 and 112. What are the odds, right? All right, let's see. Where should we go next? So we had Travis Keith Lang, 68. He made the threats against Trump, 47 years old. Trump equals 47. Trump's number 47. And look, Travis Keith Lang was from Irmo, South Carolina, 248. Like President Donald Trump, 248. Trump assassination, 248. Remember, we had James Bryan Comey, who made the 8647 post, right? James Bryan Comey, 248. Like human sacrifice, like Trump assassination, like President Donald Trump, 248. Shot equals 248. Remember Trump's mugshot, aka headshot, was on August 24th, the 24th day of the 8th month, right? 24/8. And remember the 8647 post was 8647 days after 9/11. What are the odds of that? By the way, it was on May 15th. Right, 2025, the United States was 248 years old then. And then we had this story. Secret Service shoots man in overnight armed confrontation near the White House. That was March 9th, 2025, when the United States was 248 years and 248 days old. When Trump assassination, 248, President Donald Trump, 248, shot, 248, the Secret Service, 248. And then back to Kimberly Cheadle, right? Let's go back to the 68s real quick. Remember, she was in the list of 68s. Kimberly Cheadle equaled 68, like Butler shooting 68. I'm telling you, we're going to jump around a lot today, so pay attention. Remember, they blamed it on her, the director of the Secret Service, Kimberly Cheadle. Anyways, remember Trump was allegedly shot in the ear July 13th, 2024. That was exactly 666 days after she assumed office, September 17th, 2022. What are the odds of that, huh? Now here, let's go back to the 248s, all right? And let me pull up Vance Boelter. Okay, so back to the 248 connection. Remember, we had Senator Palantine from Taxi Driver. He had the 248, like President Donald Trump and Trump assassination, 248. We had Travis Keith Lang making threats against Trump, the guy from Irmo, South Carolina, with the 248. And then we had James Bryan Comey, 248. Trump's mugshot on 24/8. And then we had this armed confrontation at the White House when the U.S. was 248 years, 248 days old. The Secret Service, 248, right? So let's jump over here. Remember the Minnesota lawmaker that was killed the day of the No Kings protests on Trump's birthday, right? And the governor of Minnesota is Tim Walz, who is running for vice president against J.D. Vance. And if something were to happen to Trump, Vance would become president. And the suspect was named Vance. Anyways, I want to point out the birthday of Vance, August 2nd, and the birthday of Tim Walz, April 6th, separated by 248 days. What are the odds, right? And remember, this is on Trump's birthday this happened. Now remember, the suspect was named Vance, which immediately made me think, okay, if something happens to Trump, Vance would become president, right? Well, look at this. James David Vance is 133 and 52. This happened in Minnesota, which is 133-52 president, 133-52. And this happened 50 days before the birthday of J.D. Vance. 50 days before his birthday, he's the 50th vice president. The suspect's name is Vance Boelter, which equals 50. He was arrested in Green Isle, which equals 50, and Donald equals 50. And the birthday of Vance Boelter is July 23rd. This happened 40 days before his birthday, and J.D. Vance equals 40. And remember, he was 220 pounds. Like Donald John Trump is 220. And the governor's name, Timothy James Walls, 220. Impersonating police, 220. And here's the tip line number. Remember, it had the 222 at the end. And his initials, VB, right? V equals 22, B equals 2. So his initials were 222. And Donald John Trump dies equals 222. And here, I'll type that out for you. I had to cover it up just so I wouldn't get a strike on Facebook. But yeah, let me show you here. Type it out for you. And thank you to the branch. He's the first person that found this one. But yeah, check him out, the branch. Donald John Trump dies, 222. But anyways, the tip line had the 222, his initials 222. Donald John Trump dies, 222. Trump equals 222. Donald John Trump Sr. 222. Trump Organization 222. Order out of chaos 222. You remember Ivana Trump died 222 days from her birthday? And Ivana equals 222. Trump's sister died 222 days from her birthday. There was a 222-page lawsuit against the Trump Organization, which equals 222, where Trump took the stand 222 days from his birthday. Remember when Trump bought a Tesla to help the stock price of Tesla? And that day, Tesla opened at $222 a share. Don't forget, the first U.S. case of COVID was 222 days from Trump's birthday. They called it Wuhan coronavirus 222. Declared a pandemic 222 months from 9/11. Obama tested positive 222 days from his birthday. COVID declared a national emergency 222 days from Obama's birthday. The Antichrist Barack Obama 222. Beast 222. The Beast of Revelation 222. Antichrist System 222. The list goes on. And don't forget, Trump just won the election 222 days from his birthday. So that's a lot to be a coincidence, right? But let's continue on. Remember, Vance Boelter allegedly killed Representative Melissa Hortman, which is 128. Assassin Vance Boelter, 128. Melissa Hortman and John Hoffman, 128. Like President Donald John Trump, 128. No Kings, 37, like Shooting 37. He had the No Kings flyers in the car. And then this happened 145 days after Trump took office. Melissa Hortman and John Hoffman, 145, like impersonating law enforcement, 145. Vance Luther Boelter, perfect match to Representative Melissa Hortman in 3 ciphers. And then Representative Melissa Hortman is a perfect match to targeted shootings in 3 ciphers. And then look at the overlap, right? Vance Luther Boelter, 206. Representative Melissa Hortman, 206. Targeted shootings, 206. They all got the 80. And you see the overlap there. And then remember, Vance Boelter was impersonating a police officer. Vance Boelter, 12267, like police officer, 12267. So there's no doubt about it. That was all by the numbers. And one more time, back to the list of the 68, which is the whole reason I'm doing this video here, mainly the 68 connection. Remember, it was a Minnesota lawmaker, 68, on Trump's birthday, 68, the day of the No Kings protest, 68, like Donald John Trump, 68, and Trump assassination, 68. All right, now back to the 88s. Remember, we talked about taxi driver, which equaled 68. Don't worry if you come in late. We're going to recap the whole thing like always. But remember, this was the scene where he was going to take out Senator Palantine. Everyone's got a plain shirt on except for this guy with the 88 when Trump equals 88. So let's do the 88 list real quick. Remember, Trump was allegedly shot in Butler 88 months after the Snoop Dogg video Lavender, where Snoop Dogg's pointing the gun at Trump. 88 months later, we had Butler. Trump equals 88. The would-be assassin, Thomas Crooks, his birthday 9/20/03. That's the 8,888th prime number. We have Donnie Darko, all about Donald J. Darko. That movie set in the year 88, and the numbers on Donnie's arm add up to 88. And the guy who plays Donald J. Darko is Jacob Benjamin Gyllenhaal, which equals 88. And in that movie, Frank the Rabbit gets shot, and the guy who plays Frank the Rabbit was born 88 days from Trump's birthday, and Frank equals Donald in 3 ciphers, and Rabbit equals Trump. And an iPet Goat 2, you have the rabbit with the bullet hole in the ear, like Trump allegedly got hit in the ear, and that movie takes place in Middlesex, which equals 888, like Mar-a-Lago, 888, like Donald J. Trump, 888. COVID declared a pandemic 888 days after Trump's famous calm before the storm statement. The Art of the Deal, 888. Back to the Future, they got to reach 88 miles per hour. Biff represents Trump. The raid on Mar-a-Lago, August 8th, 88. Trump's number to text, 88022. And just the other day, Trump installed a pair of 88-foot-tall flagpoles while talking about 88 billion in tariffs. And sorry that this picture is so fuzzy. I've saved and uploaded and saved so many times, after a while it gets kind of fuzzy. But anyways, as long as you can hear what I'm saying, that's all that matters. Plus, that's a lot of photos on one little, collage there. And then also, don't forget what happened in Butler. Here, let me adjust this a little bit. Remember what happened in Butler, July 13th, 2024. Would-be assassin Thomas Crooks, his birthday 9/20/03. Again, the 8,888th prime number. But anyways, what happened in Butler was exactly 1,086 weeks and 0 days after he was born. And they were using symbolism from Revelation 13:3. It says, "And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast." That whole verse equals 1,086. See it down here? If you just copy and paste Revelation 13:3, right? It equals 1,086, and that's exactly how old Thomas Crooks was. And Thomas M. Crooks is 1,086. The president, 1,086. Cause of death, gunshot wound, 1,086. Crazy, right? And here, I can come back to this. I don't want to take too long, but I just want to show you, I've been talking about the 1,086 for a long time, before Butler even happened. Remember when CERN, look, this is my post from 2022 of me talking about the 1,086. Anyways, long story short, CERN went full power with the Large Hadron Collider July 5th, 2022. That was exactly 1,086 weeks and 0 days after 9/11. And look at the gematria of Large Hadron Collider, 1,086. Like Barack Hussein Obama II. Obama's full name, 1,086. And the B system, 1,086. All right, let me get back to my Vance Boelter notes when we do the recap. Hopefully I'm not too all over the place. Okay, so we talked about the 1,086. Now back to the decode, because we're still not done yet. Look at this. Trump may be hit by drone while sunbathing. Iran hints at assassination plot. Well, look at that, guys. Sunbathing equals assassination. What do you know? How about that? Sunbathing, 43. Assassination, 43. Freemasons, 43. Iran threatens to kill Trump while sunbathing. Sunbathing, 115 and 43. Killing, 115, 43. Masonic, 115, 43. And Freemasons, 115 and 43. And just in case you think it's all a coincidence, check it out, folks. That's a perfect match. Sunbathing is a perfect match to Freemasons in every cipher across the board. Sunbathing, 115, 43, 155, and 56, like Freemasons. 115, 43, 155, and 56. Wow. How about that? We could assassinate Trump sunbathing, Iranian official claims. Look at that. Assassinate, 127, Iranian official, 127, in the same cipher. And I showed this earlier, but it says Iranian official says Trump could face drone attack at Mar-a-Lago. Drone attack, 185-68. Donald John Trump, 185-68. Remember, Mar-a-Lago is also 68, so is Trump assassination. All right, guys, that's it for the first part. If anybody would like to support the channel, here's how you can do so. Any support, very much appreciated. This is my full-time job. I am not monetized by YouTube. So thank you to everyone who does support. Very much appreciated. And, yeah, thank you. All right. Don't go away yet. I got a few more things to talk about. I know you guys are probably tired of hearing about the Texas flood, but I have a little bit more information to talk about with it. Put out a short video on this last night. And shout out to Bones Jones for the heads up on this story. Says, Rainmaker CEO speaks out about cloud seeding in Texas before floods. And we got this news on July 9th. By the way, make sure you subscribe to my backup channel. Guys, write it down. Make a note to yourself. Because there's a lot of topics I talk about that they don't like. That's why I'm on channel number 14. So it's only a matter of time before I get a strike. Long story short, you can find my backup channel in the description and in the comments of every video I make. Okay, so make sure you're subscribed to the backup channel. I also made a post on my community like 2 days ago, so you can find that. But yeah, make sure you find the backup channel, just in case they give me a strike, okay? So again, Rainmaker CEO speaks out about cloud seeding in Texas before the floods, July 9th. Well, what do you know? Guys, his name equals 201. Yeah, there's a fake account that leaves comments sometimes, but I blocked him. It's always the same person. It's someone with allegedly some charity or something. It's not just my channel. They do it to a lot of channels. I've got the same comment for years. They just keep making other channels, but yeah. Yeah, if you just go to the description and the comments, you'll find my official backup channel, which one day will become the main channel, right? Anyways, it says Rainmaker CEO Augustus Dorico said his company, which works with farmers in Texas during times of drought, unequivocally had nothing to do with the flooding. Well, what a perfect gematria for his name. Augustus Dorico, 201, like weather control, 201, the Jesuit order, 201. Wow. And remember, this happened on 4th of July, 177, like weather control, 177, the Jesuit order, 177. And weather control is a perfect match to the Jesuit order. And 3 out of the 4 base ciphers, including the 69, like Texas 69, Kerrville, Texas 69, weather control 69, the Jesuit order 69. And the other connection to the Jesuits, the leader of the Jesuits, Arturo Sosa, his birthday, November 12th. This happened in Kerrville 131 days before his birthday. Kerrville 131, like Pope Leo the 14th 131. And this happened 57 days after he became the Pope. And Kerr County is 57, 4th of July 57. And the same cipher. And Rainmaker is 153, like Jesuit order 153. And they called it catastrophic, which is 191, like Society of Jesus 191. And Joe Herring Jr. 187, like Society of Jesus 187. Joe Herring Jr. is the mayor of Kerrville. Society of Jesus, that's the Jesuits. And then here's the one thing I missed in the decode last night. Obviously, I was kicking myself, as I always do. But what I missed, it says the Rainmaker CEO is 25 years old. Flood equals 25, like Kerr, 25. This happened in Kerr County, right? And then again, here's your key points. Hopefully this is the last time I talk about the Texas floods, because I've been talking about it ever since it happened now, but we just keep finding more information, and I feel compelled to release it. So anyways, remember this happened on 4th of July 177, like weather control 177, Independence Day 128, flash flooding 128, 4th of July 57, Kerr County 57, Kerrville, Texas 57, Kerr is 52 and 25, like flood 52 and 25, and it happened on 7/4. It happened on 7/4, right? In Central Texas, which equals 74. They called it catastrophic 74. Kerrville flood 74. Joe Herring Jr. 74. Yeah, Margaret. Yeah, any post you see or any comment you see with a picture of me talking about orphans, that's not the real me. That's an imposter. But anyways, back to the list. This happened on 7/4, right? Central Texas, 74, catastrophic 74. Kerrville flood 74. Joe Herring Jr. 74. That's the mayor of Kerrville. It happened on Independence Day 74. Killing 74. Don't forget Masonic is also 74. And it says the National Weather Service issued a flash flood warning for Kerr County, where the Guadalupe River is located, around 1:14 a.m. Friday. Well, guys, 1:14 a.m., that's 74 minutes into 7/4. How about that? Guadalupe River 70, Independence Day 70, Joe Herring Jr. 70, Guadalupe River 83, flood 83, murder 83. Kerrville floods, perfect match to order out of chaos in 3 out of the 4 base ciphers, including that big 222. And the catastrophic flood happened on the 185th day of the year, catastrophic flood 185. And there were 180 days left in the year, flash floods 180. So that's a lot to be a coincidence. And that was before the new information. The Rainmaker CEO, Augustus DeRico, has that 201 like weather control. All right, now there's also something I missed in the New Mexico flooding. And of course, I was kicking myself for that too. So I just want to show you the key points and what I missed on that. Yeah, never forget this important fact. If you don't think these people use numbers, explain this. COVID was declared a pandemic March 11th, 2020, exactly 666 days after the Cladex pandemic simulation May 15th, 2018. Jesus is coming soon. And that's my flyer. I passed out about 1,000 of those locally, including a couple churches. Some of you guys might remember the video of me getting kicked out of the church parking lot for passing those out. But yeah, it's also written all over my vehicle, for anybody wondering. And if you don't believe me, just go ahead and Google my address, which I give out to everybody. Go ahead and Google where I live and zoom in on my car. You can read it. All right. So here's your key points on the Ruidoso flooding, which happened in New Mexico. And here's what I missed right here. So first things first, this happened on the Ruidoso flooding happened on July 8th. That's 7/8, right? Ruidoso flooding, 78. They said seek higher ground, 78. Order out of chaos, 78. And it happened on 7/8. Also, Jesuit equals 78. Now, here's what I missed. And I was kicking myself because we talked about the number 183 in the decode. I showed you guys that Ruidoso flooding was 183, like order out of chaos 183. Well, here's what I missed. New Mexico became a state on January 6th, okay? So this happened, not including the end date, this happened 183 days after the anniversary of New Mexico becoming a state, and including the end date, it happened 183 days before the anniversary. So perfectly in the middle. You see what I mean? Either way you go. 183 days after, 183 days before the anniversary of New Mexico becoming a state. And why does that matter? Because Ruidoso flooding equals 183, like order out of chaos 183. And if you're still not convinced, Ruidoso flooding is a perfect match to order out of chaos, including the big 222 and the 78. And again, it happened on 7/8. And familiar numbers here. This happened in Lincoln County, which is 177, like weather control 177, like Kerrville was on 4th of July 177, the Jesuit order 177. Ruidoso, New Mexico flash flooding emergency 201, like weather control 201, like Augustus Dorico 201, the Rainmaker CEO, the Jesuit order 201. Anyways, weather control, perfect match to the Jesuit order, and 3 out of the 4 base ciphers. And then this happened on July 8th. The leader of the Jesuits, Arturo Sosa, his birthday November 12th. So this happened 239 days after his birthday. New Mexico flash flooding 239. And I know this is a little bit fuzzy, sorry. But not including the end date, it happened 127 days before the leader of the Jesuits' birthday. Flash flooding in New Mexico 127, Lincoln County flash flooding 127, Rio Ruidoso 127. It was the Rio Ruidoso River that was overflowing. And then including the end date, 128 days before his birthday, Ruidoso, New Mexico 128, flash flooding 128, New Mexico flash flood emergency 128, and Lincoln County, New Mexico flood 128. So that's the key points. But yeah, what I missed was the 183 connection. But anyways, no big deal. All right, guys. Let me go back to the Iranian sunbathing threat. Hey, Travis. Hey, Betty. Much love to everyone. And again, we're going to bounce around. But let's go for it one more time. Here we go. For anyone coming in late. Trump fires back after Iranian officials chilling Mar-a-Lago sunbathing assassination threat. Trump could be hit by drone while sunbathing, Iranian official reportedly suggests. All right, this is in the news on 7/9. Drone equals 79. Murder 79. Trump 79 years old. So will he be taken out with a drone at 79? I don't know. We'll see. But a lot of predictive programming for the soon removal. This is in the news 25 days after Trump's birthday. Trump 25, drone 25, death 25. Drone 29 and 25, like Trump 29 and 25. And then the big number here, the 68. The same number we keep coming back to. Here, let me take a sip of water. Iran could assassinate sunbathing Trump at Mar-a-Lago, Khomeini ally says. All right, Mar-a-Lago, 68, drone attack, 68, sunbathing Trump, 68, Trump assassination, 68, Donald John Trump, 68, Donald J. Trump, 68. We just had this story not too long ago. Trump was warning about sleeper cells, and around, all the same time as all these threats from Iran, we had this story come out about an Iranian army sniper who was arrested, Ribvar Karimi, right? And here. For the record, I think if I type in taxi driver, that post comes up. This was the article. Look, this is in June. Iranian army sniper and Hezbollah-linked terrorist arrested in U.S. as Trump warns of violent sleeper cells. And that's why I brought him up. But let me show you what I haven't shown you. This part. Army sniper, 138 and 60, like Donald Trump, 138 and 60. So there's that. And then Karimi does have the 47, like Trump 47. But anyways, that's what I wanted to show you. Army sniper equals Donald Trump. All right. Okay, let me get back to the Vance Boelter notes. Okay. So, his name, Ribvar Karimi, had the 68, like Trump assassination, like Donald John Trump. And then remember what happened on Trump's birthday? A Minnesota lawmaker was killed by a guy named Vance, like Vance would become president if Trump was taken out. Minnesota lawmaker, 68, no King's protest, 68, that was on Trump's birthday. 68, remember Vance Boelter had the No Kings flyers in the car. You had James Comey with the shell formation, 68, that was the 86-47 post. Butler shooting, 68, they blamed it on Kimberly Cheadle, 68. The Apprentice, 68, Mar-a-Lago, 68, Thomas Crook, 68, the would-be assassin from Butler, and Donald J. Trump, 68. And we're still not done with the 68s. We had the movie Taxi Driver with Robert De Niro. Remember, Robert De Niro was outside of Trump's trial, and the movie Taxi Driver inspired John Hinckley Jr. to do the assassination attempt on Ronald Reagan, who had Make America Great Again, like Trump. Anyways, Taxi Driver equals 68, and he was going to assassinate Charles Palantine, which equals 68, like Donald John Trump and Trump assassination. And then also, we're going to go through the list of 88s again, but this is the scene where he's going to take out the senator. Everyone's got a plain shirt on except for this guy with the 88 on his shirt. Trump equals 88. And then Senator Palantine, 248, President Donald Trump, 248, Trump assassination, 248. And then Senator Palantine, 95, like President Donald Trump, 95. And then there's another movie with Robert De Niro connected to political assassination and the number 68. It's called Machete. In the movie Machete, Robert De Niro, playing Senator McLaughlin, does talk about 68 cents during a scene where he is giving a speech and the sniper is involved. Senator McLaughlin is giving a speech about border security and immigration. Sounds like Trump, right? And Machete, a hired assassin, attempts to shoot the senator who is on a platform, possibly a rooftop. During the speech, McLaughlin says, "Let me tell you what change that'll bring, 68 cents," right? So he's talking about 68 with a sniper on the roof, like Trump assassination and Donald John Trump, 68. And here's a confirmation. He plays Senator John McLaughlin, which is 95 and 112, like President Donald Trump, 95, 112. And then back to Taxi Driver. Remember, Senator Palantine had the 95 also, like President Donald Trump. Okay. And then we had this guy with the 68, the guy who was arrested for making threats against Trump, the 47-year-old, when Trump equals 47 and Trump's number 47. His name was Travis Keith Lang. 68, like Donald John Trump and Trump assassination. And he's from Irmo, South Carolina. 248, like President Donald Trump. 248, Trump assassination. 248. Let's go back to taxi driver. Remember, Senator Palantine was also 248. And then we had the shell formation from Comey, the 8647 post. That was James Bryan Comey, 248, when the United States was 248 years old. Like Trump assassination, President Donald Trump, Trump's mugshot, aka headshot, was on August 24th, the 24th day of the 8th month. The 248 shot equals 248. And the 8647 post was made 8647 days after 9/11. Then you have the Secret Service shooting an armed man near the White House when the United States was 248 years, 248 days old. Like Trump assassination, President Donald Trump shot, the Secret Service 248. And then let's jump over here to Vance. Remember, back to the Minnesota lawmaker, which let's pop over here again. Remember, this happened on Trump's birthday. The suspect, Vance Boelter, like J.D. Vance, a Minnesota lawmaker, equals 68, was killed on Trump's birthday, 68, the day of the No Kings protest, 68. Like Donald John Trump and Trump assassination, right? And then we talked about, see how like the 68, right? See how the 68 and the 48 go hand in hand? Like Charles Palantine, 68, Senator Palantine, 248. Same thing with Travis Keith Lang, equals 68, and he's from Irmo, South Carolina, 248, right? And then even with Comey, remember shell formation had the 68, James Bryan Comey, 248, right? Now back to the Minnesota lawmaker that happened in Minnesota, right? The governor is Tim Walz, who is running for vice president against J.D. Vance. Long story short, their birthdays are 248 days apart, okay? Trump assassination, 248. President Donald Trump, 248. Shot, 248. All right. Happened in Minnesota, which is 13352. James David Vance, 13352. President, 13352. And again, suspect was named Vance. Vance Boelter. If Trump got taken out, Vance would become president. It happened on Trump's birthday, 50 days before the birthday of J.D. Vance, who's the 50th vice president, and Vance Boelter equals 50. Like there's 50 states, and he was arrested in Green Isle, which equals 50, and Donald equals 50. And Vance Boelter's birthday, July 23rd, happened 40 days before his birthday. J.D. Vance equals 40. He weighed 220 pounds, like Donald John Trump, 220, impersonating police, 220, Timothy James Walz, 220. And then not only was the tip line number ending in 222, but Vance Boelter, right? VB. V equals 22, B equals 2, like Big Beautiful Bill. Like Build Back Better. It's all 222. The same reason I started my channel, the number 222, right? But yeah, I think I typed it out here. Donald Trump dies, or Donald John Trump dies, 222. Donald John Trump Sr., 222. Trump, 222. Trump Organization, 222. Order Out of Chaos, 222. And here's your list again. Remember, Ivana Trump died 222 days from her birthday. Ivana equals 222. Trump's sister died 222 days from her birthday. Trump won the election 222 days from his birthday. Trump bought a Tesla to help the stock price of Tesla. And when he did, that day it opened at $222 a share. There was a 222-page lawsuit against the Trump Organization, which equals 222, where Trump took the stand 222 days from his birthday. And then the first U.S. case of COVID was 222 days from Trump's birthday. Declared a pandemic 222 months from 9/11. Obama tested positive for COVID 222 days from his birthday. COVID declared a national emergency 222 days from Obama's birthday. They called it Wuhan coronavirus 222. Mandatory vaccination 222. COVID vaccines 222. Vaccine cards 222. Event 201 222. World Economic Forum 222. Order out of chaos 222. As above, so below 222. Antichrist system 222. The beast of Revelation 222. The Antichrist Barack Obama 222. Don't forget, player number 222 just won the final season of Squid Game, and we were introduced to player 222 in season 2, which came out 222 days from Obama's birthday. And player number 222 is Kim Jun-hee, which is a perfect match to Squid Game in every cipher. You got to see my Squid Game decode. It's about, I don't know how many videos back. It was in the last 2 weeks. It was a live stream. Check it out. Don't forget Armageddon equals 222. Beast equals 222. Hidden codes 222. The list goes on. But you get the point, right? Not only was the tip line number 222, but his initials were 222. And then he allegedly shot Melissa Hortman and John Hoffman, which is 128. Assassin Vance Boelter, 128. Representative Melissa Hortman, 128. President Donald John Trump, 128. We talked about all the 128s with the Francis Scott Key Bridge yesterday, connected to Obama. Here, where are we at? Kimberly Cheadle in 666. Just for fun, since we're all hanging out. Why not? We're really jumping around today. Here's another 128. Let's see. I guess this is in the news. They said that the Supreme Court ruled Monday in Trump versus United States that a former president has immunity from prosecution. That was in the news 128 days before the election. Immunity from prosecution 128, like President Donald John Trump 128. Interesting. Here you go. Here's the big 128. The Francis Scott Key Bridge collapsed at 128. See up here? It collapsed 128 days before Francis Scott Key's birthday. Bridge collapse 128 happened in Maryland 128. We connected it to Obama's movie because the cargo ship White Lion loses power in that movie, just like the ship Dolly lost power and hit the bridge. By the way, Dolly had a famous painting called The Broken Bridge in the Dream, which equals 128. But anyways, it happened in Maryland, 128. The name of the ship in Obama's movie, White Lion, 128. The movie about the power grid going down, Power Grid, 128. That movie came out on 12/8, 128. The bridge collapsed 128 days after Joe Biden's birthday, who was president at the time. Here's White Lion, which equals 128. By the way, President Barack Obama equals 128. Let me just show you that. President Barack Obama, 128. There you go. Anyways, White Lion loses control with 128 minutes left in the movie, and then 128 minutes into the movie, they show a bridge collapse. But yeah, what are the odds, you know? Bridge collapse 128, collapsed at 128, 128 days before Francis Scott Key's birthday was the Francis Scott Key Bridge. So Dolly had a painting called The Broken Bridge in the Dream, 128. The ship was Dolly. Here's another 128. Stormy Daniels takes the stand in the hush money case on the 128th day of the year. Look at that. Hush money, 128. It was on 5/7. Look at that. Stormy Daniels, 57. Hush money case, 57. Stormy Daniels equals New World Order. Where's the Russia Bridge story? Remember we had the Fern Hollow Bridge collapse on 128 when Fern Hollow was 128? Come on now, give me the Russian bridge. We had a bridge collapse in Galveston, 128. Here it is. 2 bridges collapse in Russian regions bordering Ukraine, killing at least 7. That was on June 1st. That was 128 days before Putin's birthday and 128 days after Zelensky's birthday. Look at that. Bridge collapse, 128. Okay, we've talked enough about the 128. Let's get back to the point here. Lots of fun facts today. We were on the 666 Kimberly Cheadle slide here. There we were. And then we were on the 128s here. He had the No Kings flyers in the car, right? No Kings 37, like shooting. And then it happened 145 days after Trump took office. Melissa Hortman and John Hoffman, 145. Impersonating law enforcement, 145. Vance Boelter, perfect match to Representative Melissa Hortman in 3 ciphers. Wow. And then Representative Melissa Hortman, perfect match to targeted shootings in 3 out of the 4 base ciphers. That's their wording, not mine. They called it targeted shootings. And then see the overlap. Vance Boelter, Representative Melissa Hortman, and targeted shootings. They all got the 206 and the 80. And then Vance Boelter was impersonating a police officer. What are the odds Vance Boelter equals police officer? Okay, now we're back. Remember, they try to blame it on Kimberly Cheadle. Let me go back to the 68s. Remember, Kimberly Cheadle had the 68, like Butler shooting, like Thomas Crooks. Here, let me look something up. What was it? Hold on. All right, we can get rid of this. I want to show you a little bit more on Butler. Oh, this is going to drive me nuts now. Hold on. I'm trying to find my original post on Butler, which I know I'm not going to be able to find. I'm not going to be able to find this, am I? How can I find this? Sorry, guys. I know this is taking too long. But we're pretty much just hanging out at this point. We've already gone through the decode. This is just the recap. There's just a little bit more on Butler I'm trying to find, and I can't seem to find my post here. I'm going to have to turn the air on. I'm getting hot in here. Well, here's part of it. Remember, Trump was shot exactly 48 weeks before his birthday. And Trump shot equals 48. I think Trump rally. Yeah, see how Trump rally is also 48. Like Donald Trump. Like Donald Trump is 48. But that's still not what I'm looking for. Hold on, guys. I gotta go turn the air on. Hold on. All right, hopefully the noise isn't too much. I know I've talked about this before. There's a 68 that I'm missing. I know I've talked about it with Robert De Niro. Gene Slice, do you know what I'm missing? There's a 68 with Trump. It just popped into my head. I can't figure it out. Yeah, remember when Trump was indicted on 6/8 and indicted equals 68? That's another one. Oh, it's going to drive me nuts. No King's Rally 68. That's not it. Trump's new plane is a Flying Palace 68. Why won't you just give it to me, Facebook? Yeah, all the world wars started on 68 date numerology, including Russia, Ukraine. Why can't I find my original post on Boelter? With the 195, maybe I should type in 195. See, that's part of it that I didn't even mention. Well, there's part of it. Man, I hate when I can't find something I'm looking for. Well, here's part of it, guys. Boelter was on July 13th. That was the 195th day of the year. Trump shooting 195. Trump headwind 195. The one person who was killed in the crowd. Corey Comparator 195. Then there was a story of a guy who threatened Trump, Ronald Lee Sivrud, 195. Hold on a minute. Howdy. We'll get back to it in 1 second. This is driving me nuts. I'm not going to figure it out. I need to find my original post on Boelter. I guess it doesn't matter at the end of the day, man. You guys have all those 68s. I remember there was one more 68. Or maybe I'm just tripping. I don't know. Here, let me type in Cheadle. Maybe that'll help. There it is. I found it. Oh my gosh. And it's not even a big deal. Oh my gosh. I found it, guys. I knew it had rally in it. It's not even a big deal at all, man. But hey, at least you got to see the 195 and the 48 and all that. Man, I'm sorry that took so long. I found what I needed. At least I found it, because if I didn't, it was going to mess me up. Okay. Here it is. This is all it is right there. Rally shooting equals 68. That's it. That's what I was looking for. But it's in the same cipher as Thomas Crooks and Donald J. Trump. But yeah. Yeah, at first I typed in Trump rally. Trump rally has the 48. See how Trump rally has the 48? Like Donald Trump 48 and Trump shot equals 48, and he was shot exactly 48 weeks from his birthday. My goodness. But yeah, that's all it is, guys. But also down here, Boelter happened 6 months and 8 days before Inauguration Day. So there's another 68. Man. Well, since we're talking about Trump and the 68, oh, here's another one with Kimberly Cheadle. Look. Not only does Kimberly Cheadle equal 68 like Boelter shooting and Trump assassination and Donald John Trump, but look, Kimberly Cheadle 256 like Butler, Pennsylvania 256. So I guess everything happens for a reason. But yeah, now that we're this far, let me go back to the 195. I see Gene Spice is talking about the 195 in the chat. But yeah, remember, July 13th, 2024, that was the 195th day of the year. Trump shooting 195, Trump head wound 195, and the one victim, Corey Comparator 195, like Ronald Lee Sivrud, was making threats against Trump 195. And then, here, let's go ahead and bring up the 48s again. Yeah, see, Trump was shot 48 weeks before his birthday. Donald Trump, 48. Trump shot, 48. Illuminati, 48. And Trump rally, 48. That's what I typed in at first. I was getting the 48 and the 68 confused. Anyways, y'all probably think I'm nuts at this point. And yeah, for the record, let's go ahead and talk about Trump indicted on 6/8, since we did this big search on the 68. First of all, there was this indictment. Remember when Trump was indicted on August 1st? This was the indictment for the insurrection. So long story short, it says Trump indicted on charges out of special counsel probe into January 6th. So he was indicted 159 days before the anniversary of January 6th. Donald Trump 159, indictment 159, insurrection 159. So we get a Donald Trump indictment for the insurrection 159 days before the anniversary of the insurrection. What are the odds? And then let's see if we can find the 68 indictment. Watch, we'll be looking for this for 30 minutes too. Fun fact, Donald Trump, perfect match to indictment in 3 ciphers. Look, Alvin Bragg equals Donald Trump in indictment. He was indicted. This is for the hush money one. Look, he was indicted 206 days before Alvin Bragg's birthday. Donald Trump indicted 206, Trump indictment 206. And look, it was on the 89th day of the year. Donald Trump indicted 89, Trump indictment 89. That's the hush money indictment. 34 felony charges for hush money, when hush money's 34, like Stormy 34. At least you guys are getting some fun facts today in all my crazy searching. There's been so many indictments. Let's see if we can find the one that was on 6/8. So here's my post. Donald J. Trump indicted on 6/8. Donald J. Trump equals 68. Donald John Trump 68. Indicted 68. Mar-a-Lago 68. What's this one? Trump indicted in Georgia on election subversion probe. Former President Donald Trump and 18 other people were indicted by a Fulton County grand jury. Look at that. Fulton equals Trump in 3 ciphers, including the 88. Fulton County 138, Donald Trump 138. I forgot about all this stuff. Huh? This happened, what, 62 days after Trump's birthday, Georgia 62. Anyways, I don't want to get too crazy here. Let's see if we can find... Oh yeah, June 8th. Look, here's the other part. Remember we just did the 159? He was indicted 159 days from the anniversary of the insurrection. When insurrection, Donald Trump, and indictment, they're all 159. The one on June 8th, right? Not only do you have the 68 connection, but it was on the 159th day of the year. Look at that. So how do you say that's a coincidence? Donald Trump 159, indictment 159 on the 159th day of the year. Is this it? Oh, wow. Didn't we just make the 206 connection with the hush money? Dude, I didn't even realize that. Man, we're going down crazy... We're going down a crazy road here. Remember the hush money indictment? I didn't even realize this. Look, this is the hush money indictment. It was 206 days before Alvin Bragg's birthday. Donald Trump indicted 206, Trump indictment 206. Well, look at the one on June 8th. Look at this, guys. Look, Donald Trump indicted June 8th. 206 days left in the year. Look at that. Donald Trump indicted 206, Trump indictment 206. Wow. On the 159th day of the year, Donald Trump 159, indictment 159. On 6/8, guys, here it is. Donald J. Trump 68, Donald John Trump 68. Mar-a-Lago 68, indicted 68. This is for the classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. See? For hoarding classified documents at Mar-a-Lago. Look at that. On 6/8, he gets indicted. Tell me if that's not the craziest decode you've ever seen. 159th day of the year. Donald Trump 159, indictment 159. 206 days left in the year. Donald Trump indicted 206, Trump indictment 206. on 6/8, when Donald J. Trump, Donald John Trump, Mar-a-Lago, and indicted, they're all 68. That's crazy. Mar-a-Lago equals indicted in 3 ciphers, man. And Donald Trump equals indictment in 3 ciphers. And he had to be in court on June 13th, right? The day leaving 201 days left in the year, like classified documents. Yeah. Yeah, the raid on Mar-a-Lago was August 8th, 8/8. We're about to talk about Trump into 88s. But yeah, as you can see, every single Donald Trump indictment was by the numbers. It's crazy. Here, real quick. Let me show you something about Alvin Bragg. You know, I'm kind of not mad that I had to go down this wild goose chase, because now you guys can see all these fun facts. Here. Here it is. Thank you, God, this didn't take me too long. What is this? Okay, Trump's trial. It says here, Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg to face his toughest trial yet as Trump criminal case begins. Look at this, guys. Okay. The trial began 60 days before Trump's birthday. Donald Trump 60, Alvin Bragg 60, indictment 60. And it began, here's the key point I was looking for. Alvin Bragg's birthday is October 21st, right? It started April 15th. It was 177 days after Alvin Bragg's birthday. Look at this. Alvin Bragg, 177. Stormy Daniels, 177. New World Order, 177. The Jesuit Order, 177. How crazy is that? First of all, what are the odds that Alvin Bragg equals Stormy Daniels? But the number is 177. That big number, like weather control, like 4th of July. You know, we talk about this number like every day. But yeah, 177 days after his birthday, Alvin Bragg, Stormy Daniels, they're both 177. And it started 48 weeks before Stormy's birthday. Donald Trump 48, Alvin Bragg 48, indictment 48. And it started 29 days after Stormy's birthday. Manhattan 29, Trump 29. I think there was another 29 now. Hold on. Now I got to type in Stormy. I feel like there was another 29. Ay, ay, ay. Look at this story. April 12th. Threatening letter containing white powder sent to Manhattan DA Alvin Bragg 174 days after Bragg's birthday, when Stormy Daniels has the 174, like New World Order. Here, let me set this down. Hold on. Let me just see something. Ah, thank you, God. I knew there was another Stormy 9, yeah. Another 29 connected to Stormy. You know what it is? Stormy equals 29. I don't know where that post went. I'm glad it didn't take me an hour to figure it out. Here, Here, let me get back to the Alvin Bragg thing. And then we'll get back to the recap, and then we'll wrap this thing up finally. I don't know if I've ever sidetracked so much in a video. Okay. Let me go back to Alvin Bragg. And guys, hit that like button. Very much appreciated. Here it is. Okay, we'll get back on track here. Hopefully the air conditioning is not too loud, but yeah, I had to turn it on. It was getting hot in here. Alright, so back to the hush money trial. Started April 15th, 60 days before Trump's birthday. Donald Trump 60, Alvin Bragg 60, Indictment 60. And the big part, the 177. It was 177 days after Alvin Bragg's birthday. Alvin Bragg 177, Stormy Daniels 177, New World Order 177, the Jesuit Order 177. And it was 48 weeks before Stormy's birthday. Donald Trump 48, Alvin Bragg 48, Indictment 48. And it was 29 days after Stormy's birthday. Manhattan 29, Trump 29. And I knew I was missing a 29. There it is. The biggest one of all. Stormy equals 29. Phew. Okay. I think I got it all out of my system now. We can get back to we can get back to the list here. I think we were on the 88s. Remember, going back to Taxi Driver movie, where Robert De Niro is going to take out Charles Palantine 68, like Donald John Trump, Trump Assassination, Taxi Driver, right? Anyways, you got the guy with the 88 on his back. Everyone's got a plain shirt, right? Except for one random guy just happens to have the number 88 on his shirt when Trump equals 88. So let me give you the list of 88s one more time. I knew I'd be all over the place with this one, but I didn't know it would be this bad. But hopefully you guys can follow along. You guys are pretty smart. So here's the list of 88s one more time. Trump was allegedly shot in Butler 88 months after the Snoop Dogg video Lavender, where Snoop Dogg's pointing the gun at Trump. The would-be assassin Thomas Crooks, his birthday 9/20/03. That's the 8,888th prime number. And Trump equals 88. You have Donnie J. Darko, set in the year 88, and the numbers on Donnie's arm add up to 88 when he wakes up in the golf course. Remember, Trump is connected to golf courses. So that movie's set in 88. The numbers on his arm add up to 88. The guy who plays Donald J. Darko is Jacob Benjamin Gyllenhaal, which just happens to equal 88. And the guy who plays Frank the Rabbit, remember Frank the Rabbit gets shot, but the guy who plays Frank the Rabbit just happened to be born 88 days from Trump's birthday. And Frank equals Donald in 3 ciphers. And then you see Donnie with the Triumph sweater, which has the letters TRUMP. Anyways, Frank the Rabbit gets shot. The guy who plays Frank the Rabbit, born 88 days from Trump's birthday. His birthday right here. I know it's a little fuzzy, sorry. September 10th, 1972. 88 days from Trump's birthday. Frank equals Donald in 3 ciphers. Rabbit equals Trump in 2 ciphers. I Pet Goat 2, you have the rabbit with the bullet hole in the ear. Right? That movie takes place in Middlesex, which equals 888, like Mar-a-Lago, like Donald J. Trump. Like COVID was declared a pandemic 888 days after Trump's famous calm before the storm statement. Back to the Future, they got to reach 88 miles per hour. Biff represents Trump. The raid on Mar-a-Lago, August 8th, 8/8. And Trump's number to text, 88022. And just the other day, Trump was putting up a pair of 88-foot tall flagpoles while talking about $88 billion in tariffs. And then remember, they were using symbolism from Revelation 13:3. And I saw one of his heads as it were wounded to death, and his deadly wound was healed, and all the world wondered after the beast. That whole verse equals 1,086, and Crooks was exactly 1,086 weeks and 0 days old when Butler happened. Thomas M. Crooks, the president, gunshot wound, they're all 1,086. And back to the original decode here. Trump may be hit by a drone while sunbathing. Iran hints at assassination plot. Sunbathing, 43. Assassination, 43. Freemasons, 43. Iran threatens to kill Trump while sunbathing. Sunbathing, 115 and 43. Like killing, Masonic and Freemasons, they're all 115 and 43. And then sunbathing is a perfect match to Freemasons in every cipher across the board. We could assassinate Trump sunbathing, Iranian official claims. Iranian official 127, like assassinate, 127. And Iranian official says Trump could face drone attack at Mar-a-Lago. Drone attack 185.68, like Donald John Trump, 185.68. And again, if anyone wants to support, very much appreciated. And yeah, thank you so much to everyone who does support. But yeah, guys, the key point here, the 68s again. Drone attack, Mar-a-Lago, sunbathing, Trump, Trump assassination, Donald John Trump, Donald J. Trump, they're all 68. All the 68s that we went over. You'll have to go back and listen, because I think I've recapped enough. Connections to Taxi Driver and Machete and Travis Keith Lang. All the 68s. We went on a crazy wild goose chase with the 68s. So anyways, if you came in late, you definitely want to go back and watch. A lot of fun facts today. All right, let's turn this around. We also talked about the Rainmaker CEO with the 201 connection. Also, something that I missed in the New Mexico flooding. We covered that. We covered Vance Boelter and all kinds of stuff connected to Trump's indictment. So yeah, if you came in late, we covered a lot today. All right, let me check in with the chat. I'm going to wrap this up. Yeah, Rabbits 47. Yep. Where is it here? But yeah, what are the odds? Rabbit 47, Trump equals 47, Trump's number 47. And then in iPad Go 2, you have the rabbit with a bullet hole right next to its ear, like just erasing it. I mean, what are the odds? Don't forget iPad Go 2 equals 666. And the makers of iPad Go 2, Heliofont 153, The Pet Goat 153. That's the story from 9/11 they were reading on page 153. The Illuminati 153, Jesuit 153, Antichrist Christ Obama 153, Barry Soetoro 153, Elberton, Georgia 153, where the Guidestones were. And remember Heliofont, they took down iPet Goat 2, put it back up 153 days later. Do you think we are in the tribulation? I don't know. Kind of feels like it. Feels like it. I don't know. I have no clue where we're at. I just know we're in the biblical end of days. The beast system is here. Jesus is coming soon. I don't know where we're at in the timeline. I know the whole world changed in 2020. Nothing's ever been the same. So, I don't know. I think it's possible. I do believe in a rapture, but I'm not sure when it is. If it's pre-tribulation, mid-tribulation, or after, I don't know. But 1 Thessalonians 4, 16 through 17, I actually made a post about it today. Let me just read it for you. First Thessalonians 4, starting with 16. For the Lord himself shall descend from heaven with a shout, with the voice of the archangel, and with the trump of God, and the dead in Christ shall rise first. Then we which are alive and remain shall be caught up, harpazo, together with them in the clouds, to meet the Lord in the air. And so shall we ever be with the Lord. Wherefore comfort one another with these words. So, nobody will ever convince me that there's no rapture. It's just on the timing. Alright? When is it? But it'll be in God's perfect timing. I do pray that it's soon, but I'm definitely ready to leave this world, that's for sure. Alright, let me say hello to the chat before I wrap it up. Thank you, Paul, back once again. Gene Spiced, Elena, Julie, Bones, Fading the Public, Georgia, Ziggy, Mark H. Yeah, Cheats and Crooks, right? Yep. Travis, Seabass, Karen, Diana. Sorry if I missed anyone, but thank you guys for hanging out. Alright guys, I'm going to wrap it up. Hopefully you learned something today. Do me a favor, on the way out, please hit the like and the share. Very much appreciated. If you feel like it, leave a comment. After the fact, helps out the algorithm, so they say, helps more people find the video. But yeah, anything you could do to help get this information out. They definitely don't want it out. That's why I'm on channel number 14. That's why people don't get notifications, people get unsubscribed, all kinds of stuff. I get comments every other day. People say they can't hit the like button, they can't leave a comment, all kinds of stuff. So anything you can do to help out the channel. If you want to share this on Facebook or Twitter, or if you have a YouTube channel, want to give this channel a shout out, anything you can do, very much appreciated. But anyways, we'll leave it there for this one. Have a great rest of your night, guys. And again, please hit that like button on the way out. And yeah, we'll leave it there. Alright guys, as always, keep looking up. We are living in the biblical end of days. Jesus is coming very soon. I can't wait, and I'll see you guys on the next video. God bless.